Accounts from a Monster Hunter. September 7th, 1997. I don't have much time left. The doctor says I'll be lucky to make it another 2 months. Lung cancer. Never smoked a single cigarette in my life. Funny how that works out. By the time you read this, I'll be buried 6 feet under. Alexander, if you're reading this, I need you to promise me something. Keep fighting. People like us, we're the only thing standing between the innocent and the horrors that lurk in the shadows. I've spent 57 years being that wall, and I raised you to be the same. Even if you resent me for it, please, carry on the fight. I know the path I've set you on is filled with danger, and I won't be around to help you through it. But even as my body turns to dust and my soul fades away, I want to pass down a relic, one that's been in our family for generations. You remember that old, dusty wine cabinet in the basement? Brings back memories, doesn't it? Like when you tried to sneak that bottle of Merlot to your friend's party. But that cabinet wasn't just off limits because of teenage drinking. After I'm gone, go back down there. Push the cabinet aside and you'll find a fake wall with a keyhole. Use the back end of the basement key. It'll fit. What you find behind it is the greatest gift I can leave you. Use it in the battles ahead and raise hell. That alone will be enough of a requiem for me. I may not have been the best father, but I want you to know, I'm proud to call you my son. And if you ever feel lost or broken, look deep inside yourself. I'll be there, guiding you through the dark. Love, Dad. I crumpled the letter in my hands as I finished reading. It was the last thing my grandfather ever wrote to my father before passing away. And now, as I sit here, my father's lifeless body rests beside me. He gave me this note before he died, telling me only to read it after he took his final breath. My father, Alexander Myers. I always saw him as some kind of legend. On the surface, he was just a butcher in Texas. He taught me how to gut and skin livestock when I was 6 years old. But alongside that, I was trained in martial arts, marksmanship, and survival. Looking back now, I realize it was all preparation, training for what was to come. By the time I was 9, he started taking me hunting. At first, it was simple, tracking deer. Then the targets got bigger, bears. By 11, I was hunting something else entirely, a rogue werewolf. Yeah, a werewolf. See, my family has a hidden history. Most people think I'm just your average butcher, and for the most part, I am. But when things go bump in the night, I'm the one they call to take care of it. After my father passed, I returned home and sat in silence. The reality hit me hard. He was gone. The closest person I had in this world had vanished. Memories came flooding back. Our hunts, our training, the countless days spent together. I could feel the tears slipping down my cheeks. Then came a knock behind me. Myers, a voice called out. Sarge, I muttered, turning around. There he stood, 6'3" and 250 pounds of solid muscle. Sergeant William Sanders, my dad's old squad mate. He was the one who'd given me my first shot at an S-rank mission with the squad. I'm sorry for your loss, he said, his voice low. I ran a lot of missions with him. We were close. I stood and approached him. I doubt you came here just to offer condolences. Don't be so cold, Junior, he replied with a scoff. But yeah, there's more to this visit. I looked him in the eyes. All right then, what are we dealing with and where? Skinwalkers, South Africa, he said flatly. I almost laughed. Skinwalkers in Africa? I thought those things were native to the States. He didn't flinch. Surveillance picked up a distress signal from the Bushveld region. Locals reported a pack of 7 skinwalkers attacking people, snatching them without a trace. My amusement faded. The look on his face was dead serious. It sent a chill down my spine. He continued, we deployed 10 B-class hunters. They managed to take down 2 of the creatures, but only 2 men made it back. One's missing an arm and the other's got deep claw marks down his back. Both have been evac, but they're mentally wrecked. Neither of them can give a straight report. All they do is babble about some massive monster in the woods. I was at a loss for words. Skinwalkers are North American by origin, mostly tied to Navajo legend in the U.S. But that damned blood ritual, it can be performed by anyone crazy enough anywhere in the world. The process is gruesome. The intended person selects an animal, rips out its heart, and eats it raw. Then they draw a transformation sigil, usually a pentagram, with the animal's blood, skin the creature, wear its hide, and chant a set of dark incantations. After that, the transformation begins. I don't know all the details. I'm no expert in blood magic or the occult, but once the change is complete, the result is a skinwalker, a twisted hybrid of man and beast. It takes on the external traits of the animal while maintaining a disturbingly humanoid form. They retain human intelligence, but their instincts are pure predator, vicious, fast, deadly. They're classified as an A-tier threat, and from the look on Sarge's face, this mission was going to be hell. I tried to piece everything together. The giant creature those two hunters mentioned, could it have been a Wendigo? I speculated aloud. We don't have much intel, Sarge replied, but higher-ups have classified it as an S-tier threat. Orders are simple. Eliminate every last monster hiding in those woods. We drop into the Bushveld, clear the Eastern Cape region, and wipe out whatever's lurking in the shadows. What do you say, Junior? Another S-class op? You in? I turned and looked at the photo of my father I had just placed on my dresser. His eyes, frozen in time, stared back at me. Yeah, I said. Count me in. Good, Sarge said with a grin. Report to base. We deploy in 2 days. I paused, then spoke. Hey, Sarge, before that, I want to make a quick trip to England. Think I could get 24 hours? He raised an eyebrow. Is it urgent? Yes, I said firmly. All right, he nodded. But if you're planning on skipping out, I'll hunt you down myself and drag your sorry ass into that war zone. 7 hours and 1 airlift later, I touched down in England, more specifically at my family's ancestral manor. For privacy's sake, I won't share the location. The estate was massive. I'd probably make a fortune if I ever decided to sell it. But for now, it served as a safe house for seasoned hunters with ties to my grandfather, or as a neutral ground to plan joint hunts across the UK. My grandfather had played a major role in the foundation of modern monster hunting. He was one of the original architects behind the Hunter Corps, an international network that united hunters across the globe. As I stepped into the manor's towering front hall, memories stirred. I'd only been here a couple of times growing up, and never for more than a week. My dad lived here with my grandfather before moving to the States. I made my way down the dusty basement stairs. The air was heavy with the scent of age and secrets. I flicked on the light and turned to my left. There it was, a maplewood wine cabinet. I opened it, empty. Someone must have raided it. Last time I checked, there were at least 18 bottles in there. I even stole one as a teenager, chugging it behind the hedge near the fence line. Without hesitation, I grabbed the cabinet and yanked it forward, slamming it down onto the floor. Just like the letter said, a hidden door sat behind it, cliché and all. I pulled out the basement key, flipped it to the flat end, and slid it into the keyhole. It fit perfectly. I turned it to the right, and the wall gave a soft click before swinging inward. A narrow, dark passage stood before me. I stepped inside and felt along the wall until my fingers brushed against a switch. I flipped it. The lights flickered on. My jaw dropped. It was stunning. The room was small, but what it held was breathtaking, an arsenal that could only belong to a legend. Weapons lined the walls, each meticulously arranged, each with a story to tell. My grandfather's personal collection. My blood ran hot with adrenaline and awe. This was no ordinary inheritance. This was war gear, passed down through generations. And now it was mine. There were some seriously massive guns in that room, bigger than anything I'd ever handled. On a smaller rack to the right was a neatly arranged collection of poisons. My eyes landed on a vial of concentrated wolfsbane extract. Potent stuff, just a dart dipped in that could drop a dragon. To the left, on a shelf, rested a crossbow, a beast of a weapon with a draw weight of 400 pounds. That's not for casual use. That's meant to bring down something big and mean. The room was stacked with all kinds of gear. Among the highlights, I found a 50 caliber sniper rifle, complete with a box of silver bullets, lethal against werewolves and vampires alike. But the item that truly caught my eye was a shotgun. Not just any shotgun, it was unusual. A pump action with a 28-inch barrel, heavy and bulky, adorned with strange etched patterns. The stock and barrel were reinforced with steel strips, giving it a rugged, almost ancient look. It took effort just to lift it onto my shoulder. Next to it sat a box of slug rounds. A bold red label stood out on the front, High EX. I was overwhelmed. There were so many tempting choices for the mission ahead. The Wolf's Bane was powerful, but using it on an average skinwalker felt like overkill. A well-placed shot usually did the job. Still, with a potential S-tier threat in the mix, I needed to be ready for anything. In the end, I packed 5 crossbow bolts, the 400-pound crossbow, the vial of wolfsbane, the hefty shotgun, and the box of explosive shells. Better to be overprepared than dead. I was then airlifted to South Africa, specifically to Base H-15. That's where I was scheduled to rendezvous with the rest of the squad. I entered the debriefing room to find the full team already assembled. 4 hunters, Hideyoshi, a seasoned veteran from Japan, Singh, a powerhouse who'd been hunting for 29 years, Wilson, an expert tracker and a longtime friend of my dad's, and finally, Sarge himself. After a thorough debriefing, we suited up. Departure was set for 3 hours later. Back in my quarters, I unpacked the weapons I'd brought from England. Sarge took a seat beside me and nodded toward the shotgun. "Went all the way back to get that, huh? Your father used it once or twice," he said. "It's one hell of a shotgun, that's for sure," came a voice behind us. Wilson. He walked over, picked it up, inspecting the craftsmanship. "You bring the rounds?" he asked. "What rounds?" I replied, confused. "The high-X tungsten slug shots," he said, raising an eyebrow. "Don't tell me you made a whole trip to England and forgot the damn ammo." Then it clicked. I pulled the red-labeled box from my bag. "You mean these?" I asked. He gave a nod and took the box from my hands. "That's the stuff." He loaded 2 slugs into the shotgun and handed it back to me. "Only use these as a last resort," he said firmly before walking off. I turned to Sarge. "What was that about?" "Oh, the slugs are high-X by default," Sarge explained. "With a regular shotgun, you could take a chimera's head clean off, assuming you're okay with the weapon exploding in your hands. But the one you've got? That shotgun amplifies blast power. It enhances whatever round you feed into it. Now imagine what kind of devastation those 2 combined could unleash." I shuddered at the thought. It sounded more like a weapon of mass destruction than a hunting tool. For a moment, I hesitated, wondering if bringing it along was even sane, but in the end, I strapped it to my back, just in case. A few hours later, I found myself in a chopper with 4 other hunters, headed toward what could be either my greatest victory or my final resting place. The helicopter dropped us near the edge of the forest bordering the Eastern Cape. As we hit the ground, we activated our night vision goggles and slipped silently into the trees. The forest swallowed us whole. The silence was eerie, unnatural. Some say even absolute silence has its own sound, and that was exactly what filled my ears, a humming void that pressed against my mind like a vice. The darkness was oppressive, like an endless black sea poised to devour us without warning. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching, waiting. Any second, something could come bursting out of that darkness and rip me to shreds. That fear? I feel it on every hunt. The sweat sliding down my temples, the pounding of my heart like war drums in my chest. I've grown used to it. It's always there, and I've learned to live with it, to welcome it. This hunt was no different. Sarge led the formation, single file, with the rest of us moving quietly behind him. About 15 minutes in, we reached a clearing. Sarge held up a fist, signaling us to halt. We crouched at the tree line, keeping low and alert. Singh raised his binoculars and scanned the clearing. "Movement at our 10 o'clock, he murmured. It was difficult to make anything out through the thick shadows. I unslung my crossbow and peered through its night vision scope. Sure enough, about 130 meters out, something shifted beyond the trees, fast, low, and deliberate. I reached for my Glock, light enough to wield quickly, unlike the crossbow and shotgun strapped to my back. Meanwhile, Hideyoshi unsheathed the 50 cal sniper he carried like it weighed nothing. We were told to pack heavy, but I didn't expect Hideyoshi to bring out the big iron right off the bat. Then again, skinwalkers tend to back off when confronted with a large squad. That's how it usually went in my past hunts. They'd stalk from the shadows, test the edges, but rarely commit to a direct confrontation. We heard faint rustling now and then, but it kept its distance. 10 minutes passed. Then Wilson's voice broke the quiet. "Watch your 3. Movement. They're circling." That one sentence tightened the air like a noose. This wasn't going to be an ordinary hunt. I aimed my crossbow in the direction of the rustling. The bushes shifted slightly, then fell still, like nothing had been there at all. Up ahead, the movement in the clearing also stopped. The air felt heavier. Then something stepped into view. It looked like a deer, or maybe a gazelle. I kept my crosshairs locked on it. There was a chance it was just wildlife, but with skinwalkers, you could never be sure. Moments later, from the opposite side of the clearing, an African wild dog emerged. But it looked off. Larger than it should have been, too large to be normal. The dog slowly approached the deer. The deer raised its head to look at the approaching beast. They began closing the distance between each other. The tension was unbearable. We couldn't confirm yet. Could have still been two normal animals just being weird in the dark. Then it happened. The deer reared up onto its hind legs. Every muscle in my body locked up. That was the confirmation. We had at least one skinwalker. But it wasn't over. The wild dog sat down, legs crossed, and picked up a rock in its hand. That sealed it. 2 confirmed skinwalkers, and they just sat there, unmoving, almost meditative. Sarge raised his fist and gave a subtle shake of the head. He whispered, "I want at least 4 confirmed skinnies. This might be our only shot tonight." He was right. If we made a move too early, the others wouldn't show. That's what made these things so dangerous, their intelligence. They tested our patterns, calculated risk. If they sensed a trap, they'd vanish and never be seen again. We held position, tense, waiting. 3 agonizing minutes passed. Then more movement. Another wild dog emerged from the far side of the clearing, larger than the last. It lumbered out on its hind legs. Sarge leaned toward Hideyoshi. "The moment you confirm a 4th, give the signal," he whispered. The forest held its breath. No sounds, no movement. Just me, the squad, and the 3 abominations staring at each other through the dark. And then, in a flash, it all changed. Hideyoshi gave the signal. In an instant, my nerves converted into raw instinct. Everything inside me switched from frozen tension to full-blown assault mode. Hideyoshi fired. The sharp crack of the 50 cal echoed across the woods. The deer-like skinwalker collapsed instantly, its head blown open. I already had my crossbow lined up. I fired the moment Hideyoshi's shot rang out. The bolt flew straight and true, punching through the dog creature's left eye. It dropped like a rock. To give you an idea of how fast it all happened, both creatures hit the dirt within milliseconds of each other. Hideyoshi scanned the tree line. 4th confirmed. My 11 o'clock. 200 meters into the woods, he reported. Wilson stepped forward. "Everyone move in. Myers and Singh flank left. Sarge and I will charge head on." I nodded to Singh as he veered left, taking the flank. I circled right, slipping through the trees with my crossbow raised and ready. My boots barely made a sound against the underbrush. Every few steps, I scanned the woods with my scope, trying to spot the fourth target. 5 minutes passed, nothing, not a stir. Then, static buzzed in my earpiece. Wilson's voice broke through. Myers, something big just tore through the foliage in front of us. It grabbed the skinwalker we were tracking and bolted. It's heading your way, fast. We're moving to intercept, but we'll need a few minutes. Hold your ground. It took me a second to process what he just said. Something big. Was this the creature that tore through an entire team of hunters? And now I was alone in its path? Could I even survive a direct encounter? Before I could spiral further, I caught sight of something on the ground up ahead. A skinwalker corpse, completely mangled. Its limbs were shredded, intestines spilled across the forest floor. The blood had dried to a thick, crusted black red, meaning it had been dead for a while. Counting the bodies, 3 from the clearing, the one taken just now, and this dismembered mess, that made 5. Only one left. But judging by the carnage in front of me, this last one wasn't going to be an easy kill. Lost in thought, I didn't hear the footsteps until they were nearly on me. Something sprinted toward me from behind. I spun around in an instant, crossbow raised, finger on the trigger. "Whoa, it's me!" a voice called. It was Hideyoshi. I exhaled hard, my nerves still buzzing. He jogged up beside me. "Keep your voice down," I hissed. "Something's coming. Something big." Hideyoshi nodded silently and slid a fresh magazine into his rifle. I wasn't sure my crossbow was going to be enough this time. Reluctantly, I holstered it and drew my Glock, still not ready to bring out the shotgun unless absolutely necessary. Together, we started sweeping the area, quiet, deliberate, alert. The woods around us were still cloaked in darkness. The night vision helped, but it couldn't pierce the unease crawling under my skin. I crept forward, checking the brush to my left. Then, out of nowhere, something yanked me backward into a thicket. A hand clamped over my mouth. I thrashed for a second, then stopped when I saw Hideyoshi's face, tense but calm. He was trying to keep me quiet and fast. I nodded, signaling that I was good. He pointed past my shoulder toward my 7 o'clock. I turned slowly, heart pounding in my ears. It was dark, almost pitch black, but I could just barely make out a massive form moving through the trees. A towering shadow, silent but unmistakably alive, slithered its way between the trunks. As it drew closer, I saw it. And in that moment, no words could describe the terror that gripped me. My body froze. My lungs refused to breathe. The sheer presence of this abomination was paralyzing, pure, primal fear. I had read about creatures like this in old hunter logs, ancient bestiaries filled with warnings and superstition. But never once did I believe I'd come face to face with one. It looked like a creature pulled straight from a nightmare, a towering serpentine mass with clawed forelimbs and the head of an elephant resting grotesquely atop its long neck. It stood at least 13 feet tall, and with its tail stretched nearly 30 feet in length, a Grootslang, an ancient beast born from African legend, rumored to date back to the dawn of time. They were believed to be extinct, nearly wiped out during the Purge in the late 70s. This one must have survived. It crept forward slowly, sniffing the forest floor with each thunderous step. Its deep growls echoed around us as it bared razor-sharp fangs in short guttural bursts. Then it stopped. The beast's head lifted, its eyes turned, locking directly onto us. It had caught our scent. My heart leapt into my throat. I braced myself for the worst. Hideyoshi, tense and silent, brought his rifle up to aim. As he did, his arm brushed against a low branch, snapping it. The Grootslang's eyes widened, and with a guttural snarl, it lunged. I saw pure carnage in those eyes. No thought, no fear, just death. It came barreling through the underbrush with terrifying speed, using its claws to propel its massive body through trees and thickets. Hideyoshi fired, the shot ringing through the woods, but the bullet barely slowed it down. I dove out of its path just in time. The Grootslang crashed past me, missing by only a few feet. Dirt and splinters exploded into the air. It turned, locking back onto me. Before it could lunge again, a hail of bullets struck its side. I looked up to see Sarge and Wilson charging toward us, both unloading their semi-automatics into the beast. Sarge yelled, "These rounds aren't doing squat! This bastard's hide is thick as hell!" Wilson shouted back, voice dry with sarcasm, "What do you want to do? Drop a road roller on it?" But behind the sarcasm, there was concern in his eyes, real fear. The Groot slang turned toward them now, roaring with fury as it launched itself forward once more. Sarge and Wilson kept firing, their shots bouncing off the creature's thick hide like pebbles. Hideyoshi quickly loaded one of his high-X rounds and fired. The explosive slug hit the beast's shoulder and detonated. Flames burst into the night. The Groot slang let out a guttural roar and collapsed to its knees, writhing in agony. For a second, we thought we'd done it. But the victory was short-lived. The monster rose again, slowly, steadily, back to its full towering height. Then it slammed its claws into the earth, shaking the ground beneath us. It let out a scream so loud, so unearthly, it pierced bone. That sound still haunts my dreams. "Damn it, I misjudged this one. We need something heavier," Wilson shouted. "That was the strongest round I had," Hideyoshi snapped, eyes still locked on the beast. Sarge looked grim. "Should have brought the nade launcher instead of the AR, he muttered. "Sing's carrying frags and a block of C4, Wilson said, urgency rising in his voice. "But he's still too far out. We need to hold this thing off until he gets here." I crawled, inch by inch, back toward the backpack I had dropped during the chaos. But the Groot slang had spotted me. Its monstrous eyes locked onto mine, brimming with malice. Then it charged. Panic overtook me. My movements grew frantic as the beast closed the distance, crashing through the trees like a runaway train. I reached out, scrambling through the dirt and debris, desperately searching for anything I could use. But there was nothing. The others kept firing, their rounds bouncing off the monster's thick hide, buying me seconds at most. Still, nothing in my grasp. My breathing turned ragged, my mind spiraling into hopelessness. I was certain this was it. I was going to die. Then my hand brushed against something cold, metallic. I froze. My fingers closed around it. The shotgun. It felt like salvation, like fate itself had intervened. My hands moved on their own, driven by instinct, adrenaline, or something more. I raised the shotgun and pumped it once. In that moment, something shifted. The weapon pulsed in my hands. It was as if the shotgun had awakened, like a dormant beast responding to battle. It didn't feel like I was holding it anymore. It felt like it was part of me. The energy coursing through it surged into my arms. It was surreal. I locked eyes with the charging monster. Time slowed. Then I pulled the trigger. A thunderous explosion erupted from the barrel. The recoil launched me backwards, the force rattling through my bones. A searing pain ripped through my right shoulder as I hit the ground hard, my vision flaring white from the muzzle flash. And just before everything went black, I saw it. The Groot slang's head was blown clean off, shattered, obliterated in a burst of fire and blood. Its body crumpled mid-charge like a felled mountain. I didn't remember anything after that. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital bed, sterile white light above, bandages across my shoulder and chest. Sarge and Wilson sat beside me. Sarge noticed me stir. "Morning, soldier," he said with a smirk. Broken rib and a dislocated shoulder. Could have been worse. Memories of the fight came rushing back. The Groot slang. Did we get him? Sarge chuckled. "That shotgun never fails. Son." Took its head off like it was nothing. One shot, one kill. I glanced at my shoulder, wrapped tightly in thick bandages. "Yeah, at what cost?" I muttered, half laughing, half grimacing. Wilson leaned forward. "Hey, it was your first shot. That thing isn't easy to handle. Takes some getting used to. Maybe someday you'll master it, just like your grandpa did." I blinked. "Grandpa?" Wilson's face turned serious. Make no mistake, Myers, your bloodline's full of legends. Your grandfather, that man used to dual wield that shotgun with a Colt 1911 in the other hand.